The void of space was quiet. It was a silent, cold, and empty place, where not even the stars seemed to care about what happened down on the barren planet below. The silence was broken only by the quiet hum of a damaged spaceship, floating aimlessly through the asteroid field. Inside the ship, Kalen sat alone, his heart heavy with grief. He was a young alien, and his world had been torn apart. The Galactic Empire had destroyed everything he knew, leaving him orphaned and stranded. Kalen had been on his home planet, a peaceful place known for its lush forests and vibrant cities, when the Empire attacked. His parents were scholars, researching the universe, and they had worked hard to teach him about the stars. But that knowledge didn't save them when the Empire's fleet arrived. The attack had come without warning, and the planet was obliterated in moments. The sky had been filled with fire and destruction. His parents, who had tried to protect him, died in the chaos. Kalen had been sent on a spaceship, a last-ditch effort by his parents to save their son. But the escape had not been smooth. His ship was damaged, and the once thriving world he called home was now a distant memory. As the ship drifted through the vast expanse of space, Kalen stared out into the abyss, hoping for some sign of life, some chance to escape the endless sorrow. His ship had become his prison, the walls closing in on him with every passing hour. The only company he had was a malfunctioning AI system built into the ship's control console. His parents had recorded messages before they died, and they had made sure that Kalen would always have something to remember them by. Every day, Kalen played the recordings over and over again. He would listen to his mother's voice, soothing and warm, telling him stories about the stars and the distant planets she had visited. His father's voice, stern but kind, gave him advice about survival, teaching him how to navigate the universe and understand its mysteries. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks stretched into months, those voices grew faint. He could barely remember the sound of their laughter. The messages were his only link to a past he could never get back. In the quiet of the spaceship, Kalen found himself staring at the starry sky, longing for something, anything, to break the silence. He knew that his chances of survival were slim. The asteroid field he was floating through was deadly, and without proper navigation, his ship could be destroyed at any moment. But the most terrifying thought was that no one would ever find him. His ship was too far from any known space route, and the chances of a rescue were practically non-existent. The ship's lights flickered as it passed through the asteroid field. Kalen had to hold on tight to the control panel, trying to steer the ship away from the incoming rocks. The ship groaned, its hull creaking under the strain. He knew that the ship couldn't last much longer. It was falling apart. He had done everything he could to keep it running, but the damage was too severe. Suddenly, the ship jerked violently, throwing Kalen against the seat. He gasped, his heart racing as he tried to regain control. The ship had hit something large. For a moment, everything went dark, and then the lights flickered back on. Kalen's hands trembled as he checked the ship's systems. The damage was worse than he had feared. He was stuck in the middle of the asteroid field, unable to move. As Kalen worked frantically to stabilize the ship, the AI system hummed to life. The screen in front of him flashed with static before displaying a new message. It was a warning, an alert from a distant source. The message was weak, almost like a ghost, but Kalen could make out a few words. Help, detected. Signal, human. His heart skipped a beat. Human. There were no humans in this part of space, at least not that he knew of. The Galactic Empire had wiped out many species, including humans, and Kalen had heard rumors that the humans had been extinct for centuries. But this message, it was clear enough for him to understand. Someone, somewhere, had detected his distress signal. The AI tried to analyze the source of the signal, but it was too faint to trace. Kalen stared at the screen in disbelief. Could it be true? Could there be humans out there, still alive, still capable of sending a signal? His mind raced. If it was really a human signal, it could mean his salvation. but it could also mean danger. He didn't know who was out there or why they were sending a signal, but he had no choice but to follow the lead. Kalen reached over to the control panel and activated the communication system, hoping to send out a response. His hands were shaking as he tried to send a message back. The system crackled, sending out a weak signal into the vastness of space. He had no idea if anyone would hear it, but he had to try. "Hello? Is anyone out there?" Kalen's voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of his desperation. "Please, help me. I'm stranded." For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Kalen held his breath, waiting for any sign of a response. His heart pounded in his chest. He didn't know if anyone would hear him, but the possibility of anyone, responding filled him with a faint hope. He was alone in the vastness of space, but now, for the first time in a long while, he wasn't entirely sure that he was truly alone. The AI system flashed again, and Kalen's eyes widened. A signal had been received. The words on the screen were broken, fragmented, but they were unmistakable. "We are coming." The words were brief, but they were enough. Someone, somehow, had heard him. Someone was coming. Kalen leaned back in his seat, his body trembling with exhaustion and hope. He didn't know who these people were, or what would happen next, but for the first time in months, he felt a spark of something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. In the distance, the stars continued to twinkle in the cold, empty void of space. Kalen watched them, unsure of what the future would hold, but knowing that for the first time, he had a chance. And that chance, no matter how slim, was enough to give him the strength to keep going. The vastness of space was still around him, but now it didn't feel as lonely. The darkness of space was alive with motion, though it appeared still to the untrained eye. Deep within this silent void, Commander Ethan Cross and his elite rescue team of humans were moving swiftly toward their target. They were on a special galactic relief mission when a mysterious signal appeared on their sensors, faint but unmistakable. It was the distress call of a stranded ship. And not just any ship. This was a ship belonging to a species they had only heard about in ancient stories. The signal had been too weak to trace fully, but there was no mistaking it. It was a cry for help. The humans, well versed in survival and stealth tactics, had dealt with many dangers before. Their fleet, equipped with some of the most advanced technology in the galaxy, had encountered alien races, fought off deadly ambushes, and traveled through war-torn regions. But they had never encountered a signal like this one. This was something different. This was a plea from a young alien, stranded alone in the heart of an asteroid field, surrounded by nothing but cold silence and broken debris. Commander Cross sat at the helm of the ship, his hand steady on the controls as he gave orders to his team. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp, always calculating. He knew they had to move quickly. Every moment counted. The stealth technologies they used were some of the most advanced in the galaxy, but they wouldn't be enough to avoid detection forever. They had to act now if they were going to reach the alien and save him. "Team, stay sharp. We don't know what we're walking into," Cross said, his voice steady over the comms. His team responded with affirmations, their voices filled with quiet determination. These were veterans, people who had seen things that most would never dream of. They were prepared for anything. As they got closer to the coordinates of the signal, the tension grew. Kalen's spaceship was located in a dense asteroid field, making it nearly impossible to approach without being detected by nearby enemies. Cross activated the ship's cloaking device, making their vessel nearly invisible to any external scanners. The sleek black hull of the ship blended perfectly with the shadows of space, as though it was just another floating piece of debris among the countless asteroids. The quiet hum of the cloaking device was barely noticeable, but to Cross, it was a sign of the delicate balance they were walking. Their ship was invisible, but that also meant they could only move slowly, carefully, to avoid collision with any unseen dangers in the asteroid field. They maneuvered cautiously, staying within the shadows, careful to avoid detection by any alien scouts who might be patrolling the area. As they neared the coordinates, the team kept their eyes fixed on the scanners, alert for any signs of hostile activity. The tension was palpable as they got closer and closer to Kalen's spaceship. Then, without warning, a red alert flashed across their screens. Cross's heart skipped a beat. They weren't alone. Alien ships were nearby. Lots of them. "Commander, we got company. Multiple alien scouts inbound," said Lieutenant Sarah, the communications officer. Her voice was tense but controlled. Cross cursed under his breath. The rescue team's mission was no longer just a rescue. It had become a race against time. If those alien scouts detected them, they would have no chance of reaching Kalen in time. The young alien spaceship was vulnerable, exposed, and if the fleet moved in, they wouldn't be able to save him. "Stealth mode. Full speed ahead," Cross ordered. "We're not turning back now." The rescue ship hummed as it increased its speed, pushing its cloaking device to its limits. Every second felt like an eternity as they moved deeper into the asteroid field, hoping they wouldn't be spotted. But the alien scouts weren't the only threat. The asteroid field itself was treacherous, with massive rocks tumbling through space, moving unpredictably. They had to avoid these obstacles while simultaneously evading detection from the scouts. Suddenly, their scanners lit up with more signals. The scouts were closing in fast. Cross clenched his fists, knowing they didn't have much time. "We need to fight back," said Sergeant Major Jameson, the team's weapons specialist. He was already loading up their advanced weaponry, ready for whatever came next. Cross nodded. "Prepare for engagement. We'll make sure they don't spot us. Take out any scouts that get too close." The first alien scout ship appeared in front of them, its sleek design gleaming in the dim light of the asteroid field. The rescue team's ship was barely visible, but the scout was getting dangerously close. With a quick motion, Cross ordered the team to fire. The ship's weapons powered up, and energy beams shot through the blackness of space, striking the alien ship with precision. The scout ship was hit, its shields cracking under the force of the attack. The team's advanced weaponry was powerful, but it had to be used sparingly. They couldn't risk blowing their cover. As the alien scout's ship spun out of control and exploded, the rescue ship quickly faded back into the shadows, narrowly avoiding a second scout that had been circling nearby. "We've got to keep moving," Cross said. "Keep low, keep quiet." They continued through the asteroid field, their cloaking technology now working overtime to hide their presence. Another alien scout appeared, but this time, the team was ready. They fired another quick burst of energy, taking the scout down before it could call for reinforcements. It was a tense game of cat and mouse. Every time they destroyed one scout, another would appear, trying to track them down. The team fought hard, using their advanced weapons and technology to outsmart the enemy. But with each battle, the stakes grew higher. They couldn't waste time. Kalen's ship was close now, and every second counted. As they approached the final stretch, the lights from Kalen's damaged ship flickered in the distance. The young alien was so close, yet so far. The rescue team was getting closer, but the alien fleet was growing more aggressive. They had to act fast. The next few moments would decide everything. "We're almost there," Cross said, his voice calm but tense. "Prepare for final approach." The mission was about to reach its climax. Would they reach Kalen in time, or would the alien fleet find them first? The fate of the orphaned alien and the rescue team hung in the balance as the team approached the derelict spaceship, ready for anything that came next. As the hum of the spacecraft faded into the background, a thick silence settled over the small rescue team. They had reached the safety of their space station, far from the immediate threat of the alien fleet, but the tension was far from gone. The team members worked silently, trying to establish a safe zone for Kalen. But in the corner of the room, the young alien sat with his eyes downcast, his mind elsewhere. Ethan Cross, the commander of the mission, had seen this reaction before. It wasn't the first time he'd encountered an individual who had suffered immense loss and trauma. But the difference with Callan was the isolation, the overwhelming solitude of being the last survivor of his people, an orphan without family or even a place to call home. The alien orphan, Callan, sat in the corner of the room, his eyes flickering with unease as he watched the humans move around. He had never seen humans before, only heard of them in stories, often depicted as strange and unpredictable. But to him, they were the ones who had saved him. Yet despite the gratitude he felt, fear gripped him. He was an alien, and they were humans. Could they really be trusted? Could they really understand the pain he had endured? The emotional gap seemed too wide to cross, and the fear of the unknown kept him at a distance. Ethan observed the young alien from across the room. He knew the fear was not something that could be easily dispelled with words. It wasn't even about the rescue or the space battle they had just fought. It was about trust. Callan's world had been torn apart, his family lost forever in the galactic conflict. All the young alien had now was a broken spaceship, malfunctioning technology, and memories of his parents. And those memories, too, were slipping away. "Hey, Callan," Ethan called gently, crossing the room toward him. "I know this is hard, but we're not going to leave you alone." Callan looked up, his eyes wary, scanning Ethan's face. The human stood tall, his expression soft but firm, his arms crossed as if to shield the young alien from the overwhelming weight of his grief. He could see the sadness etched into Callan's features, the deep emotional wound that would take more than a few kind words to heal. Ethan crouched down in front of him, trying to put himself at eye level with the alien orphan. "I know it's hard to trust someone when everything's been taken from you, but we've been through things like this before. Humans." Ethan paused, taking a breath. "We fight for those we care about. We don't let people go through this alone." The alien's eyes remained uncertain. Callan's thoughts were clouded, the grief and the trauma too fresh to push aside. His alien heart longed for connection, for the comforting presence of his family, but that was all lost now. But as Ethan spoke, Callan's gaze softened. It wasn't the words alone. It was the sincerity in Ethan's voice, the way his eyes didn't look away, the way his posture remained open, offering something Callan had not expected: understanding. Ethan could see the battle inside Callan's mind. He was trying with all his strength to trust, but the fear of being hurt again, of being abandoned once more, held him back. "You have to believe us," Ethan continued, his voice low and reassuring. "I've fought beside men and women who've given everything for their families, for their homes. When you care about someone, you'll do whatever it takes to protect them. We don't leave anyone behind." Callan's eyes flickered. He wanted to believe, but something inside him was resisting. It was a primal fear, the fear of losing everything once more. He had seen his people fall, his parents disappear forever in the attack from the alien empire. But then something strange happened. In the distance, Callan heard the faint hum of his alien AI device, the one that held the last recorded messages from his parents. The small device, which he had clung to like a lifeline, suddenly flickered, its screen flashing erratically. Callan's heart skipped a beat. His parents' final message was supposed to be preserved forever, the only reminder of his past, the last voice he would ever hear. But now the device was malfunctioning. "No," Callan whispered, his hands trembling as he tried to stabilize the device. Ethan watched the alien's face change as Callan desperately tried to restart the device. The young alien's entire expression crumbled. The fear, the hopelessness, flooded back into his mind. His last connection to his parents was slipping away, just like everything else in his life. "Callan, it's okay," Ethan said softly, placing a hand on his shoulder, offering a gesture of comfort. But Callan pulled away, his face filled with panic. The device's screen flickered one last time before the signal disappeared entirely. There was nothing left. The memories, the voices of his parents, had been lost in the void of space. For a moment, Callan's whole world seemed to collapse around him. The loss was too much. The pain of losing his family was unbearable, and now it felt like he had lost the last piece of them. It was too much to bear. Ethan stood there, watching as Callan's emotions overwhelmed him. He didn't know what to say. No words could fix this. But he knew one thing. He couldn't just leave Callan to suffer alone. Not again. The young alien needed someone. He needed a family. And right now, the only family Callan had left was this group of humans. "Callan," Ethan said again, this time with more firmness. "Look at me." Callan reluctantly lifted his eyes, still filled with tears, still haunted by the loss. But Ethan's gaze held his. It wasn't pity. It was something more. Something genuine. "We're not your parents," Ethan continued, his voice steady. "But we are here for you. You're not alone anymore." Callan's expression softened, the fear slowly melting away. He looked at Ethan, at the humans who had saved him, who had fought for him. And for the first time since the attack on his planet, he felt the tiniest spark of hope. It wasn't much, but it was enough to start rebuilding what had been broken inside him. As the silence settled, Callan's breathing became steadier. There was still a long road ahead of him, a road filled with grief and healing. But for now, he wasn't alone. He had been given something he thought was lost forever: trust. And for the first time, Callan believed that maybe, just maybe, there was a place for him in this universe after all. The rescue mission had gone as smoothly as it could under the circumstances. Callan was safely aboard the human ship, away from the devastation of his destroyed world. The journey to the human space station was supposed to be a peaceful one, a chance for Callan to catch his breath, to begin the process of healing from the losses he had suffered. But as the stars streaked past them, that sense of calm was shattered. Ethan Cross stood at the helm of the ship, the steady hum of the engines filling the control room as the sleek spacecraft made its way through the vast expanse of space. The crew members were relaxed, believing that the worst was behind them, and Callan had settled into a quiet corner, though he was still distant. He had not yet fully opened up to them, but it was clear he was beginning to trust Ethan and the team, bit by bit. That fragile bond they had built was all they had. But then, a chilling signal interrupted the momentary peace. "Captain Cross," a voice crackled through the communication system. "We're picking up a fleet, an entire fleet, approaching fast." Ethan's eyes narrowed as the urgency in the voice of his communications officer sank in. "How fast? Can we outrun them?" "No, sir," the officer replied. "They're using advanced cloaking technology. Our systems can't detect them until they're right on top of us." As the warning echoed through the ship, the crew members quickly sprang into action, their faces filled with the seriousness of the situation. Ethan turned to face Callan, who was still sitting in the corner, his eyes wide with shock. The young alien had been so quiet, lost in his own thoughts, but now his attention was fixed on the humans around him. He had already seen what his own kind, the Galactic Empire, was capable of. But he had not seen the humans in action. "Hold on tight," Ethan said to Callan, his voice calm but commanding. "It's about to get rough." The sensors blinked red as the enemy fleet emerged from the void, a terrifying sight. The Galactic Empire's warships were massive, their sleek forms intimidating as they moved into position around the human ship. These were the same forces that had destroyed Callan's homeworld, wiped out his race, and left him an orphan. Now they were here, targeting the humans who had dared to rescue him. "Get ready for a fight," Ethan ordered, his voice steady. "Activate cloaking. Prepare to engage them." The crew scrambled into position, flipping switches and typing commands into the control panels. The human ship's cloaking technology flickered to life, rendering it nearly invisible to the enemy sensors. But even with that advantage, they knew the battle ahead would be fierce. The alien warships were equipped with powerful weapons and devastating tactics honed over centuries of warfare. The odds were stacked against them. The first shots rang out across the dark expanse of space, a violent explosion lighting up the void. The human ship was rocked as enemy laser blasts tore through the hull, but the cloaking technology kept them from being fully targeted. Still, the human ship was taking damage. Ethan barked orders as he adjusted their course, weaving through the battlefield to avoid more direct hits. "Return fire," he commanded, his hands moving swiftly across the control panel. The human ship's weapon systems came to life, launching retaliatory strikes. Bright beams of energy cut through the darkness, striking enemy warships with deadly precision. The human soldiers were experts, their advanced eye-based combat systems guiding their fire. But the alien fleet was relentless. Amidst the chaos, a familiar voice crackled through the comms. "Commander Cross, we've got a major breach on the port side. We need backup immediately." "Understood," Ethan replied. "Hold the line, we're coming to you." The battle was relentless. Enemy ships were closing in, their massive forms encircling the human vessel. The human crew fought back with all they had, deploying evasive maneuvers, returning fire, and using every bit of technology at their disposal to outwit and outfight the enemy. But it was clear they were outnumbered, and the Galactic Empire was determined to wipe them out. Amid the chaos of the fight, Kalen watched in awe. This was the first time he had witnessed humans in combat. The fear he had felt earlier began to subside as he saw the courage and determination of the crew. The humans were fighting not only to save him, but to protect everything they held dear. But then the unthinkable happened. "Bonner's down. I repeat, Bonner is down." The voice of a crew member rang out over the comms, filled with panic and grief. Ethan's face went pale as he heard the news. Bonner had been one of his most trusted soldiers, a veteran with years of experience. He had fought in countless battles and had always been there for the team. Now he was gone, sacrificed in the heat of battle to save the rest of the crew. His loss hit hard, but Ethan knew that this was part of the sacrifice they all made when they signed up to protect others. "Bonner," Ethan shouted, his voice raw with emotion. "No one's going to forget you, soldier." Kalen, still sitting quietly in the corner, felt a pang of sadness. He had not known Bonner, but the sight of a human willing to give his life for others struck him deeply. This was something he had never seen before among his own people. The Galactic Empire's soldiers fought for power, for control, but Bonner had fought for something greater. He had fought for the lives of others, even at the cost of his own. The death of Bonner ignited something in Kalen. His alien device, the one that had been malfunctioning earlier, suddenly flickered back to life. The AI technology, which had previously failed him, seemed to respond to the intense emotion and urgency of the situation. With a sudden surge of energy, Kalen's device activated, its alien technology coming to life in a way that no one had expected. "Wait, my device. It's working," Kalen said, his voice shaking with disbelief. Ethan turned to him, his eyes filled with surprise. "What's happening?" Kalen's hands moved quickly over the device, and within moments, he had accessed a powerful stream of data. It was a weapon, one that could turn the tide of battle. The alien technology embedded within him had finally activated, responding to the distress of the situation. Kalen's eyes widened as he realized what was happening. The Galactic Empire had taken everything from him, but now he had something of theirs in his hands, something that could help the humans. "Commander," Kalen said, his voice filled with determination. "I can help. I have access to their weapon systems. I can fight back." Ethan's eyes widened, understanding dawning on him. "Let's do it." With Kalen's alien technology now integrated into their systems, the human ship's weapon systems gained an unexpected advantage. The battle turned in their favor. The tides of war shifted as Kalen's technology disabled the alien warships one by one, forcing the fleet to retreat. The enemy had struck hard, but the humans had proven their resilience. They had lost one of their own, but they had gained an ally, a young alien who had found a reason to fight once again. As the battle came to an end and the stars returned to their quiet positions, Kalen looked out into the vast expanse of space. He had been forced to fight for his life, but for the first time, He understood what it meant to fight for something greater. It wasn't just about survival. It was about protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. The trust that had begun to form between Kalen and the humans had been solidified in the heat of battle. They had become a family, bound together by the shared struggle against a common enemy. And in the depths of space, where survival was a constant challenge, that bond would be the only thing that could keep them going. The battle had taken its toll on everyone aboard the ship. Commander Ethan Cross could feel the weight of every decision, every sacrifice, and every moment that had led to this point. The enemy had come close to overwhelming them, but now, thanks to Kalen's unexpected abilities, the tide of the war had shifted. Kalen, the alien who had once been a stranger to humanity, now stood side by side with the humans he had come to trust. The young alien had once been lost, alone in a galaxy that had taken everything from him. But now he had found a new purpose, a reason to fight. The humans had become his new family, a bond that had been forged in the fires of battle. As the human ship sailed through the stars, Kalen stood in the war room, studying the alien fleet that was still lurking in the distance. His mind raced with thoughts of strategy, of ways to defeat the overwhelming enemy forces. The Galactic Empire had long been a symbol of fear and destruction across the galaxy, but now, with Kalen's alien technology at their disposal, the humans had a fighting chance. "I've been thinking," Kalen said, his voice steady but filled with determination. "I know their tactics, how they fight. I can help you beat them." Ethan turned to him, a sense of cautious hope rising in his chest. "What do you mean?" Kalen's eyes gleamed with an intensity that was rare for him. He had never been the type to share his thoughts easily, but now he seemed to have a new sense of resolve. "I know how they think, how they plan their attacks. I can modify their tactics, turn their own strengths against them." It was a risky move, but Ethan knew they had no other option. If they didn't act now, they could lose everything. "We're listening," Ethan said. Kalen's fingers moved across the holographic display, bringing up data on the alien fleet. He tapped several points on the screen, and suddenly, a series of advanced tactics appeared. These weren't just defensive strategies. They were offensive, aggressive maneuvers designed to dismantle the enemy's formations and destroy their ships. The humans had never seen anything like this before, and the thought of using Kalen's knowledge was both exhilarating and terrifying. "This is it," Kalen said. "We can use their weaknesses against them. I'll integrate this with your systems. Your AI can process it, and we'll have the upper hand." Ethan studied the tactics for a moment, then nodded. "Let's do it." Kalen's alien technology, now fully integrated with the human ship's systems, began to work its magic. The ship's AI systems hummed to life, adapting to the new data, analyzing the weaknesses in the alien fleet. It was like a puzzle that had finally been solved, and every piece clicked into place. With the plan set in motion, the human ship cloaked itself, blending into the darkness of space. They were ready to strike. As they approached the alien fleet, the air inside the ship was thick with tension. The crew had fought hard to survive, but now they were preparing for a final assault. Kalen stood alongside Ethan, his expression focused. The alien had once been a passive observer, a victim of the Galactic Empire's cruelty, but now he was an active participant in this fight for survival. "This is it," Kalen whispered. "This is our chance to end this." The ship emerged from the shadows of space, and the alien fleet immediately detected their presence. But this time, the humans weren't the prey. They were the hunters. The battle erupted in a flurry of laser fire and explosions. The human ship, now equipped with Kalen's knowledge, moved with precision. Advanced cloaking devices shielded their movements, making them nearly invisible to the enemy sensors. The ship's AI-controlled weapons unleashed devastating firepower, targeting the alien ship's weak points. Kalen fought alongside the humans, his alien technology enhancing his abilities in ways he never thought possible. His movements were swift, precise, and deadly. He had once been a lone survivor, but now he was a warrior, fighting not for survival, but for something far greater, the protection of those he had come to call family. As the battle raged on, Kalen's heart pounded in his chest. He had never experienced anything like this before. The feeling of fighting for a cause, of standing with others who cared for him, was overwhelming. For the first time, he felt like he belonged. In the midst of the chaos, Kalen found himself face to face with one of the alien commanders. This was the same enemy that had destroyed his homeworld, the same force that had wiped out his race. The alien's cold, calculating eyes met Kalen's, and for a moment, it seemed like time stood still. "You think you can defeat us?" The alien commander sneered. "Your kind is weak. You always have been." Kalen's eyes narrowed. "Not anymore," he said quietly, his voice filled with resolve. With a swift motion, he activated his alien technology, sending a pulse of energy through the air that disabled the commander's ship in an instant. The once mighty alien fleet began to falter, their advanced technology turned against them. Ethan watched the scene unfold, his heart swelling with pride. Kalen had not only proven his loyalty to the humans, but had also become an unstoppable force in their fight against the Galactic Empire. The alien, who had once been nothing more than a frightened survivor, was now one of their most powerful allies. The tide of battle had turned. The alien fleet, once so confident in their superiority, was now crumbling under the pressure of the humans' newfound strength. Kalen's tactics, combined with the humans' advanced technology, had shattered the enemy's defenses. One by one, the alien warships fell, unable to withstand the onslaught. As the last of the alien ships were destroyed, the battlefield fell silent. The humans and Kalen had won, but the victory came at a cost. The fight had been brutal, and the losses were significant. Yet for Kalen, it was a victory not just over the enemy, but over his own past. He had once been a lone survivor, a broken soul wandering through the galaxy. But now he had found a new purpose. He had found a family, and he had fought with them until the very end. As the human ship drifted through the stars, Kalen stood at the viewport, watching the remnants of the alien fleet float in the distance. The battle was over, but the journey was just beginning. Kalen had found his place in the galaxy, and he knew that no matter what came next, he would never be alone again. For the first time, Kalen smiled. A small, fleeting expression, but one filled with hope. The final showdown was upon them. The space around them was filled with the cold silence of the void, but inside the human ship, there was an energy that hummed with intensity. The last obstacle stood before them, the flagship of the alien empire, the symbol of their cruel dominance over the galaxy. This was it, the final battle that would determine the fate of not just humanity, but of Kalen's entire race. Kalen had come a long way from the frightened alien who had once been lost in the vastness of space. Now, standing alongside humans, he was part of a larger family, a family that had taken him in, shown him kindness, and helped him find his purpose. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for something bigger, for the chance to build a future, to create something meaningful from the ashes of his past. The alien empire had taken so much from him, his family, his home, his people, but now, with humanity by his side, he had found a new reason to fight. This was his chance to take back what had been lost, and he wasn't going to waste it. As the human ship moved into position, Ethan Cross stood at the helm, his face set in determination. The enemy flagship loomed in the distance, massive and imposing. Its weapon systems were far more advanced than anything the humans had ever seen, but they had Kalen's alien technology on their side. The time for hesitation was over. The humans and Kalen had prepared for this moment for what seemed like an eternity, and now it was time to face the enemy head-on. "All systems are ready," Ethan said, his voice calm but filled with purpose. "Let's finish this," Kalen replied, his tone steady and resolute. With a single command, the human ship cloaked itself, blending into the darkness of space. The flagship's sensors tried to detect them, but it was no use. The humans had mastered the art of stealth, using Kalen's technology to remain unseen. The alien empire's arrogance had been their undoing. They had underestimated the power of the humans and their ability to adapt. In the final moments before the battle began, Kalen felt a surge of emotions. He had been on both sides of the war, the side of the oppressed, and now, the side of the resistance. He had seen the destruction wrought by the alien empire, and now he would help bring it to an end. His alien technology, once a tool of oppression, had become a weapon of hope. The ship emerged from the cloak and immediately engaged the alien flagship. Weapons fire erupted from both sides as the battle began. The humans, now equipped with Kalen's tactics and technology, were able to hold their own against the mighty warship. The flagship fired its powerful laser cannons, but the human ship was too quick, darting out of the way with the help of advanced cloaking and evasive maneuvers. Kalen fought alongside the humans, his alien abilities enhancing his strength and agility. He moved like a shadow, swift and deadly, taking down enemy soldiers with precision. He had learned so much from the humans, from their bravery, their loyalty, and their unyielding determination. And now he was giving everything he had to help them win. As the battle raged on, one of the enemy commanders, an imposing figure in a black suit of armor, appeared on the flagship's command deck. The alien looked at Kalen with a mixture of disbelief and rage. "You dare betray your own kind," the commander sneered. "You have no place with these humans." Kalen's response was calm but firm. "I found my place," he said, "and it's not with you." With a flash of energy, Kalen unleashed his alien technology, sending a pulse of energy straight at the commander. The alien ship trembled, and for a moment, it seemed like the tide was about to turn in the humans' favor. But the flagship wasn't done yet. It retaliated with all its might, unleashing a barrage of weapon fire that rocked the human ship to its core. The ship groaned under the strain, but Ethan's voice rang out, calm and steady. "Hold on, everyone. We're almost there. We can do this." With one final, coordinated attack, the humans unleashed everything they had left. Kalen's alien technology synced perfectly with the human AI, guiding their weapons to strike at the weak points of the flagship. The alien ship exploded in a blinding flash of light, its massive form disintegrating in the vacuum of space. The battle was over. The alien empire had been defeated. As the dust settled and the human ship drifted in the aftermath of the battle, there was a moment of quiet. The crew, battered but victorious, took a collective breath, savoring the relief that came with their hard-won triumph. Kalen, standing by Ethan's side, couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He had helped bring an end to the tyranny that had plagued his people for so long. But more than that, he had found a new family, a family that had fought for him, and with him, until the very end. "Is it over?" Kalen asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Ethan turned to him and smiled, a rare but genuine smile. "It's over. We did it." The victory was bittersweet. They had lost many along the way. Friends, comrades, soldiers who had given their lives in the fight. But they had won. And that was what mattered now. Kalen looked out at the stars, his thoughts drifting back to his old home, to the family he had lost. But now, for the first time in a long time, he felt at peace. He had come to terms with his past, and he had found a new future, a future with the humans. As the human ship sailed through the vastness of space, Kalen turned to Ethan, a small but heartfelt smile on his face. "Humans have taught me something," he said quietly. "They've taught me how to live." Ethan nodded, his eyes filled with understanding. "And you've taught us a lot too, Kalen. You've taught us what it means to fight for something greater than ourselves." Together, they stood in the war room, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, and there was so much more to explore. But Kalen knew one thing for sure: he wasn't alone anymore. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Kalen felt hopeful. He had found his place in the galaxy, and with his new family by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey was just beginning.